Welcome back to WildWorks. Today we're going to be working on a 2017 Can-Am Defender HD5, and this is probably one of the cleanest buggies that I've seen this age. It's pretty awesome actually. This belongs to my wife's sister's husband's mom and stepdad. Yeah. So my brother-in-law's mom and stepdad bought this. The original owner actually bought this for his elderly father. Unfortunately, his father passed away, and I don't know if this set up or what, but currently it is got a cranking with no start issue. We're going to check this thing out, see if we can get it running. And like I say, other than it not starting up and cranking and driving, it's a really clean buggy. I opened up the dump bed and it's very clean inside. The engine's clean, all the wiring's clean. So let's jump in and see if we can figure this thing out and get it running. I really don't know anything about this other than what my brother-in-law told me, which was it was running. He knew it was running, but it started spitting, sputtering, backfiring, and not running good. And then finally it got to where it just wouldn't crank at all. So first thing you got to do when you're working on anything, especially if you don't know what's going on with it, verify the problem. First thing I'm gonna do is turn the key on, and I'm gonna be listening for a fuel pump working. That would be my first guess of what's going on with this thing. Is it might not be getting fuel, but we all know you gotta have fuel, fire, and it gives you what you desire. So let's check for fuel first, and then we'll go from there. We're gonna be checking for a sound, that familiar humming sound when you flip the key on, so be real quiet. I do hear a fuel pump. So the fuel pump's coming on, but we still don't know if it's getting fuel. Let's spin it over, make sure it won't crank up. Definitely not cranking up. Got a check engine light. Check engine. Yep. We did hear the fuel pump come on, but I want to make sure that it's not clogged up or anything like that. So I'm going to take this fuel line off, and then I'll turn the key back on, and we'll see if we get fuel coming out of the line. And if fuel's coming out of the line, we're going to start looking for something else. And just to help us get a little bit more room to work with, I'm going to pull this bed shock. Just pretty easy. Just take this pin out, and that'll let that fall backwards and give us a lot more room to work with in here. For all you wondering, I did look at the gas gauge, and as long as the gas gauge is working, it did have like half a tank, 2/3 of a tank. So I feel confident that there's fuel in there. So let's get a bucket or something and see if we can get some fuel coming out of this hose. Taking this fuel line off is not a bad deal. It's just a little fitting here. It's got little tabs right here on this fitting. You just squeeze them and it should pop off of there. There we go. Well, it had fuel dripping out. That's a good sign. We're gonna put this underneath here. We're gonna let you guys watch. Let me know if fuel comes out of there when I turn the key on. Oh yeah. So we do have fuel going to the fuel injector. It's not the best smelling fuel, but maybe it'll work. We'll make sure we dispose of that properly. We're gonna hook this line back up, and we'll start checking other things because I don't think fueling is the issue. Let's start checking for fire. All right, I'm gonna pull this spark plug boot off. It's on there good. I don't think it's a connection issue. It's actually got dielectric grease in there, which is a good sign. Somebody was thinking about that. The spark plug's one of them little ones, and I have a 9/16 spark plug socket that we're gonna stuff down in there and get it out. Oh yeah. So if it's got fuel and it's got spark, we might be in trouble, because if we got fuel and we got spark, it could be something a lot worse than what I'm thinking. So one thing at a time, Travis, one thing at a time. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna we're going to take this spark plug and plug it back in. All right, and we're going to lay it grounded on this bolt right here. I want you guys to watch and see if that thing's got spark. Y'all keep a close eye on that for me. So I didn't see any spark coming off of there. I don't think we had spark. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna backtrack back up to that coil right there, and I'm gonna test the resistance on that coil and see if what we got on that. So the first thing I'm gonna do, this purple wire right here is your power going in, and this is your signal wire right here. 12 volt power coming in, signal wire. So we're gonna unplug that, and we're gonna check the resistance between power and signal. And I don't expect to see much here, because you got to have a really good multimeter when you check these, because it's about like 0.8 ohms or something, so it's probably just going to show 0. But if it shows something, that means that's okay. All right, it's showing 0.00, so that's good. Now we want to check the secondary winding, and that's going to be from your power to your spark plug, and it should be anywhere from maybe 2 to 4, somewhere around there maybe. But if it's open, we know it's bad. We're going to set this one down there, and we're going to put this on the power side, and nothing. Well, that's a good indication. I think our secondary windings on this coil has a break in it, and that's probably why it's not gonna. But let's go ahead and check and make sure we're getting power to it and check our signal. I couldn't hold the camera and hold the multimeter and spin it over and check it and do all the things at once, but I checked the power. It does have 12 volts coming out of there when you switch the key on, which that's what we want. To check the signal, there's a trick that I use, and it requires hooking up an LED test light, not a incandescent test light, because incandescents are too much, but a LED test light. We can hook it up to the positive side of the battery and then touch the other end to the signal wire and then spin it over, and when you do that, it should flash the LED test light. So we're going to try that real quick. And to get to the battery on this thing, this is on the passenger side. You just pull that, battery's right there. I'm going to take my test light, hook it up to the positive side, make sure it's got a good connection. Yep, that's what we're looking for. We're going to take this to the signal, and then we're going to spin it over, and when that pickup comes around and grounds this, it should flash, 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 flash. All right, let's spin it over and see. Well, so what we're going to do now is change that coil out, see if that fixes the problem. So for all you guys out here wondering what the part number is, 420-665-717. It's an OEM coil that goes for a 2017 Can-Am, so be careful with stuff like this. Coils, carburetors, stuff like that, I always like to get OEM because they just work better, and you ain't got to worry about doing the same thing in 2 weeks. Now we're gonna put the spark plug back in and see if it sparks now. We are back. It has been a few days. This thing has absolutely been beating me up, chasing wires. So originally I checked the coil and it ohmed out okay. The resistance was okay with it. But when I checked from A to the wire, it was shorted out. Come to find out that these coils have a diode in them that don't let you check the resistance between A and the spark plug. So it tricked me, and we thought it was a coil. We changed out the coil, nothing, still won't crank. I started checking other things. We did look at the codes, and it told us that there was some throttle position sensor issues, a bunch of them. Led me to believe to start checking that kind of stuff, and I did sweep test on the throttle position sensors, which is made into the throttle body itself, and it checked out good. Did sweep test on the pedal itself. It's got 2 sensors in there as well. Checked out good. Traced every wire back to the ECU, and all that checked out good. So I was like, well, let me check the throttle position sensors one more time. Checked it, nothing. I was like, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Checked it again. It was erratic at best. This throttle body has a 6-wire plug in it, and those 6 wires are one's power to a motor. It's got 2 signal wires that sweep, and then it has a constant 3.3 volts going to the sensors. So that's 5 wires, and the other wire I can only assume is a ground coming back. That also has voltage, constant, pretty much, and don't change with the sweep or anything. So I'm assuming there's probably a short in that throttle position sensors, throttle body. I ordered a throttle body. We're going to replace that. We're going to disconnect the battery, hopefully to clear those codes, replace everything, plug everything back in, and see. I'm not real confident now that I've ran into all these other issues, but hopefully we can get this thing going. Okay, we got some codes on here. This might can help us figure it out. And to check the codes on this, you have to turn it on and then go to the engine right here, engine hours, hold that down and flip the light switch on and off a few times. Hold it down, flip, shoot. There we go, and it gives you the codes. We have 2621, P2621, P2620, P1120, and P212. All of those codes are the throttle position sensor and the pedal position sensor. It all goes through that throttle position sensor. So I'm going to try to back probe, do a sweep of the throttle pedal, and see if we got any inconsistencies or jumps or anything like that. See if we can figure out what's going on. So I guess in other words, there probably wasn't anything wrong with this, but I changed it out anyway. So ordered a new throttle body. We're going to open it up, see if this is going to be our problem. Hopefully it will solve our issues, but like I say, I'm just not real confident after my other diagnosis. If you ever mechanic very long, you run into stuff like that. Sometimes you screw up. First mistake I've made all year. So just getting it out of the package, it seems to look very similar. It does look like I'm going to have to take some off of the old one. It's got this manifold here that you got to bolt to it. So if you hold them side by side, like so, it does look very similar. Let's get this changed out real quick. All right, so I got to take these bolts out right here with the Torx, and then this manifold will come off, and I can put this manifold on the other one. All right, so I got the battery disconnected, let it sit for a while, maybe to clear those codes, and I got this manifold put on there, torqued down. Next thing we need to do is just install it, plug everything in, hope for the best, question mark. This is pretty straightforward. You just line these up with the grooves and put this on here, line it up with the grooves, then you tighten your clamps up. No big deal. Let's get a Phillips head screwdriver for that. Now everything I've read says that hopefully I can leave that battery disconnected for about 15-20 minutes, and that might clear the codes. So we're gonna do that, and hopefully that works. Yep, good enough. Put our hose back on. Of course that's not gonna be a Phillips. Why would you use the same one on every one of them? I'm also gonna need to go over all of these plugs, because when I was back probing and doing my thing, checking everything, I had every one of these plugs unplugged at one time. So I'm just gonna go over them real good and make sure everything's plugged back in. All right, I think that's it. So now all we have to do is connect the battery back and try it, see if those codes are still there, if the check engine light's on, stuff like that. It's gonna have to calibrate the new throttle position sensors, and I'm hoping that it'll self-learn, but I'm not 100% sure if it will. If not, there is a manual learning procedure that you can do, which I don't know if that'll work either, but we're just gonna have to play it by ear and see how it goes. I guess we can just try to crank it up, huh? All right. Well, let me do some more research. All right, so we traced everything down. We was getting spark to the spark plug. The injector, I took it out. It was spraying. So I couldn't figure out why this thing won't bust off. Well, I decided to take the spark plug out. I laid it up against the block, spin it over. The spark plug wasn't sparking. So ran to town, got a new spark plug. I'm gonna change it out. Maybe this will be the magic bullet to finish this off where it'll get to bust off. But if we do get it to bust off, we're gonna have to let it run for about 10 minutes. So to try to let that thing learn, if it's gonna learn. Let's get started putting this new spark plug in. And I had to run to about 4 different stores before I found this. And then the store I did find it at had like 12 of them. So, but for you part number guys out there, it is a LMAR 8D-J. Throw this in right quick and I'll be right back. We'll see if this thing busts off. All right, here goes nothing. Let it go through its thing. Hey! That's awesome. My God. I'm so relieved. Oh my God. All of that for that was terrible. But we got it busted off. I'm gonna let it sit here and idle for a minute. We'll tie all these wires up so they don't get burnt up. And then we'll see if this thing rides. For idle, we let it idle for about 10 minutes. And we cut it off, let everything chill out, settle down, and we're gonna see how this thing cranks up. Perfect. Let's take this thing for a ride and see what we got. Well, it got me one last time. Riding on the road, bug, right in the eyeball. Burn like all get out, but that's okay. We got this thing back on the road or back in the woods or wherever they want to take it. It'll crank up, runs great actually. Still smell the new burning off of it. Like this thing is in great shape for 2017. First thing we had to do, we didn't have any spark, so you know, I chased a spark around, thought it was the coil. Turned out it wasn't. It was the signal going to the coil, but that was because the ECU turned off the firing to the coil because the throttle position sensors are going haywire. Finally wound up changing the throttle body that has the sensors in it, got it to fire, but then it still wouldn't crank up. Checked the fuel, it was spraying out of the fuel injector just fine. So we had fuel, we had spark all the way to the spark plug, still wouldn't crank up. Finally got the spark plug changed out and she fired off, running good. But that'll do it for this episode. Appreciate you guys for watching. See you next time.